Okay, now I'd like to welcome up Anne-Charlotte Malm to the stage. She's been working with development assistance during more than 20 years and is presently the coordinator for ICT 4D and a senior advisor for B4D here at Sida. She has a great wealth of experience, previously having worked as the Assistant Director General, Department Director for Infrastructure and Economic Cooperation, and the Programme Officer for Energy based here in Stockholm. Anne-Charlotte is here to talk about the different instruments that Sida uses for cooperation with the private sector and to give some examples of ongoing projects. She'll also describe how Sida supports capacity development within ICT 4D. Welcome, Anne-Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I want to give you a picture of how Sida works with business for development, and the ICT for development. And this is a cross-cutting issue, and I will not focus on agriculture, so you have to make that link yourself. But I hope that this will give you some food for thought about what Sida can do, and maybe we could find areas of cooperation. I also want to introduce my three colleagues here, also working with ICT4D. And we have Jens Karberg. Can you please stand up so people see? And Peter Eriks, and also Ola Pettersson. And this is the little team working on ICT4D here at Sida. But firstly then, I just want to emphasize then that the overall goal for the Swedish Development Corporation is to contribute to creating conditions for people in poverty to be able to improve their lives. And this is of course the same goal for Business for Development and for ICT for Development. And Sida, as probably many of you know, handles half of the development aid, roughly half of the development aid budget of Sweden. The other half is handled by the Foreign Ministry. This picture shows the different areas, different entities that are important for a country's development. And development assistance and Sida has normally worked with governments and civil society in the past. We have also worked with research at universities, and we have also worked with media. But business, we have just recently started to work with business, and this is a growing sector for us. And this is, of course, because the business sector, the private sector in our partner countries was not very big when we started to work with development assistance, but that has grown now. And most of the countries we are cooperating with have shifted to market economy. And in a market economy, you need the private sector. But to get the private sector to thrive, you need a lot of support. And this is also what development assistance work with. We work with rules and regulations and infrastructure and education and all these kind of things that a private sector is dependent on to develop and to lead the development and economic growth. And we stand on two legs when it comes to this. We work with market development, and that is when we talk about rules and regulations, how we can support the government to be more flexible and more supportive of private sector development. But then we have the business for development, which is private sector collaboration, which is different here. So when we talk about the point of departure for market development, there is the market system, how that works. And then for business for development, we work with the market player, with the businesses. The objective for Sida, why do we work with business for development? That is to get private actors to effectively contribute to the objectives of international development cooperation. We believe that the private sector has a huge potential to contribute to the same goals as we have. And by collaborating with the private sector, we hope to be able to reach those goals. We also have another objective for ICT4D, and that is good skills and high capacity among various actors to facilitate the effective use of and access to ICT4D. And then the government has also told us that to achieve the ICT4D objective, we should provide support to strategic ICT4D activities with an innovative approach. And this is what we work very much with every day, how to be innovative. And I think a seminar like this can give us a lot of food for thoughts here. And we also have to focus, and we shall focus on access to and the use of new technology by women and girls in particular. And this is an area that we ourselves also have chosen to focus on when we deal with other organizations, because this is kind of a niche for Sweden and for Sida to focus on access, on gender issues and the access for women and girls to ICT. When we work with Business for Development, we work with different instruments and methods, and we are develop them as we go along. We work with private-public partnerships. We have challenge funds, we have drives of change, and innovative financing, and I will go into this a little bit more deep. So when we talk about private-public partnerships, when this means a little bit different when Sida talks about that than it means in other areas. So the best partnerships is when our development challenge overlaps with the company's business challenge. So partnership or partnering is in Sida's strategic interests. We are a relatively small player economically, and if we can work with the private sector, we can get much more leverage with our money to drag into the private sector into the partnership. And the purpose is to look for strategic opportunities to increase the impact in relation to our goal of poverty eradication. Initiatives for projects under the Sida's public-private partnership are expected to emerge from the business sector, which, together with a local partner, addresses local development constraints. A company, a cluster of or consortium, will in cooperation with local partners be the driver of the project and jointly ensure that the project idea is aligned with national poverty reduction strategies and priorities. And this is how it works. We share the cost for the project with the private company, with the private consortium, and while and also what the company can contribute with is also knowledge and equipment, but also financial support. And one example, one of our first examples is vocational training school in Iraq, where we partner with Scania, and where Scania has sold a lot of trucks to Iraq, and they need skilled personnel for mechanics and logistics and these kind of areas. And of course, this is a need for Iraq as well, and a development objective for Sida. So we have partnered, we have joined forces here, and vocational training school is built up by UNIDO together with the Ministry of Industry, and now they have started to produce trained people that can be employed by Scania, but can also be employed by other companies. We also have a very small public-private partnership together with Ericsson, where we are planning now to make a study in South Sudan on how to use m-health, e-health into the health cooperation. And this is a project that is going on right now. And I have other examples as well, if you are more interested in that. We work with challenge funds. The idea behind the challenge fund is to invite companies and entrepreneurs to apply for catalytic funds in competition with others, in accordance with a number of predefined selection criteria. Recipients of catalytic funding are selected based on these criteria. And right now, we have two major initiatives going on. One is the African Enterprise Challenge Fund, which is very much focused on agriculture. And Sida is there supporting and financing the window for conflict countries. The other challenge fund we work with is Innovation Against Poverty, and you might have heard about this one. This is a challenge fund that we want the private sector to develop product, services, and business models that benefit the people living in poverty and contribute to fight poverty and climate change. Sida's intention with this program is to stimulate the development which otherwise would not have taken place within the private sector due to perceived initial commercial risk or limited market opportunities. The program is based on the base of the pyramid concept, a model of doing business that target poor people, giving prominence to the world's 5 billion poor as having a vast untapped buying power. The eligible criteria for this fund is that the project should be commercially driven, it should have development effects, should be a cost-sharing commitment, 50-50, it should be innovative, and it should be additional. So, and we are quite flexible when it comes to innovation, because it can be innovative, it can be working in one country, but be a new model in another country. So the innovative part can be quite flexible. The first round of application took place in May 2011, and out of the 157 applications from companies, which represented 24 different countries, Sida decided to support 12 with small grants and 10 with large grants. A small grant is 20,000 euros, and the company has to put in the same amount themselves, and a large grant is 200,000 euros, and the company has to put in the same amount. And the second launch resulted in 206 applications from 45 countries and 17 grants. I must underline here that this is totally untied. So we welcome companies from everywhere in the world to apply for this fund. And the next round will close in November. We have 2 rounds each year. So the next round will close in November. And you can read more about this on our homepage. This is some examples from of projects that has received support. We have, for example, this mobile phone payment service in Ethiopia that is a copying of the mobile service in Kenya, the financial service. We have the portable ultrasound for pregnant women in rural areas. It's also an ICT project. We have call centers, health. We also work with drivers of change, and this is how to get the market to change in a positive direction. And of course, Swedwatch, some of you know about this, they are watching companies, how they behave in the developing world, and they are then showing in television and by films how they should work in a better way. The Market Transformation Initiative is a worldwide foundation-led program which is supported by Sida, and it contains many large companies like Adidas, IKEA, H&M to work with a better, to transform the market into a better market. For example, the Better Cotton Initiative is one that where the whole production chain of cotton is developed. The Business Call for Action is a network of big companies also encouraging companies to do more inclusive business, including the poor. We also have, as Kerstin mentioned in the beginning, we do have credits and guarantees, and this is what we use to leverage private funding. We work with, for example, the Gates Foundation and work with our guarantee scheme to leverage more funding from philanthropists, but also from the private sector. When it comes to ICT4D, this is an area that is under growth now. We are working on a lot of different projects and different ideas, and this is some examples. It's not all of them, but there are some of them. And I mentioned already the study on M-health in South Sudan, together with Ericsson and WHO. We have another project, Sexual and Reproductive Health in Tanzania, which is also a mobile phones and ICT project. Statistics and Women Entrepreneurs with UNCTAD, which is yeah, I guess it will be some ICT in this area, but it's mainly using collecting statistics to get a better basic for decision makers, and also for women entrepreneurs how to grow their business, and so forth. There are several. This is more in details, a couple of examples. We support UNCDF to work with mobile money for the poor. This is a global project, and it is also based on the idea of the M-Pesa in Kenya. And this is an ongoing project. We also prepare a project together with Seed Alliance, which is an organization in Asia, and they will work with a challenge fund with the same idea as I described before with Innovation Against Poverty, but this is then focused on ICT projects. And this, we hope to be able to conclude this project, or to start this project this year by autumn. We also discuss with InfoDev about support for mobile labs. InfoDev work in many countries in Africa, and we hope to be able to increase that even more now with m-labs in several countries for development of businesses within the ICT area. We will also have a course a training course in September up in Härnösand, where we have one of our offices. And this course is targeted to Swedish CSOs, civil service organizations. And the course aims to assist them to understand how they can use ICT4D more in their activities, and to practically plan and implement this. And this is a cooperation with Spider and with their cooperation partners in Africa. I just also want to emphasize that Sida is, of course, also represented in the embassies in our country. So if you want to talk to Sida, or if you have a project idea, if you want to collaborate, and you are in a country, you should first turn to the embassy, and secondly to Sida. You are, of course, welcome to contact us also, but the embassy is a really important player. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anne-Charlotte. We're going to take some questions now before we go for a coffee break. Just a first question that I had for you. It's not too difficult. So there's no doubt that ICT services have a role to play in development, but so few of them, I think over 70%, are not funded by the users. They're funded from donors who are donating money. I mean, do you think that there is a role that they can play in long-term development, or are you kind of still undecided that they still need to kind of prove themselves as a real tool for development?
Well, I didn't. Who needs to prove themselves?
The whole kind of the ICT for development industry. It's still a very small part of the development agenda, and the money is going in, but when the donors withdraw, something like not all of those businesses are sustainable and carry on.
Yeah, no, I think sustainability is really important for all of us to think about when we start projects, but I think there are possibilities and opportunities, and the more it is spread, the easier it will be, and also the cost will go down. So, but I think it is also important that the consumers actually pay for the services, because that is sustainability, and that also shows that they want the services. So, yeah.
Thank you. Is there any questions in the audience? Petter? Oh, Kerstin, we'll go with you.
Yeah, very short question. So, thank you for an interesting presentation. I learned a lot too, although being within Sida. You mentioned in your last sentence you mentioned spider, and could you say something about how you relate to spider?
Yeah, Spider is supported by Sida, and it was started by Sida and Stockholm University many years ago. And we have a close cooperation when it comes to ideas and discussions about projects and so forth. But we also have the support to it's actually a project under Sida. So we are following Spider and its development.
I can add one. Full name of Sida is Swedish Program for ICT for Developing Regions. Because otherwise I thought that Spider is something that...
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, of course.
Swedish Program for ICT in Developing Regions.
Yes.
Sorry.
And it's hosted by the university, the Stockholm University.
Okay, well, we'll go for a coffee break now for about 25 minutes. We should find coffee outside the room, and then we'll come back in here for the second half when we'll have Daniel and Karin speaking. Thank you very much.